Hello and welcome to this fortnight's videocast at Business Today. My name is Josie Pulenturpel. On cover this time, we have the untold story of how Vodafone is going to be the biggest challenger in Indian mobile telephony. A lot of people have talked about the big fight in mobile telecoms going to be between Bharti and Reliance Jio, Mukesh Ambani's new outfit. But as our correspondent Sunny Sen discovered, it is Vodafone that is the company to watch out for. That's an interesting story on the cover, and we have Martin Peters, CEO of the company, on the cover. Another story which I really liked this time was a story on Uttar Pradesh. I've always been fascinated that a state which sends 80 lawmakers to Lok Sabha is so poorly faring on economic and social indicators. We sent Associate Editor Shweta Punch down on ground to Amethi and Lucknow to report on the story, and she's with me today to talk about the story. Shweta, tell me what gives.
Right, Josie, you're absolutely right. It's shocking that UP is the most politically significant state, and yet it continues to be very, very backward. So I spoke to a whole host of people, and what are the possible reasons why Uttar Pradesh is where it is today? Casteism is extremely entrenched in that society. There is no chief minister that has actually displayed a vision or commitment to develop the state. From the days of N.D. Tiwari to Mayawati and now to the Samajwadi Party government, because caste politics are so integral in that entire setup. So all parties have played to that, and they have not really worked on the development card at all. Now, we spoke to a whole host of businesses that are operating in UP. We spoke to sugar companies, we spoke to power companies, and it's a pretty daunting picture, because if you speak to them, they spoke about how corruption and bribery is extremely prevalent. You have to bribe, you have to be corrupt to be able to work the system. Yet it's not 100% guaranteed that work will get done. Infrastructure. UP as a state lags behind almost all the 15 big states in almost, say, 8 of the important 12 or 13 parameters. You're talking about roads, you're talking about electricity, education, access to health. Now, all of these things are very, very important, when it comes to providing business with an ecosystem to flourish. I also went to Amethi, and it really looked like an industrial graveyard, because the scores of factories that are lying abandoned. You're talking about big factories like Malvika Steel, which was brought in by Rajiv Gandhi, which is just crumbling, literally crumbling. And we went into the interiors of Amethi. We spoke to people there. The aspirations of people are so low there, which was so tragic, because when we spoke to them about the need for roads, they were like, what are we going to do with roads? So that's pretty much captures it all for you if you're trying to operate in Uttar Pradesh. The aspirations of people are so low that you have to work with that psyche in your mind, and that's what political parties have appealed to the voters there.
So you're telling us it's a failure of the political leadership, and as is often said, we deserve our leaders. So
absolutely,
do the people of Uttar Pradesh deserve the leadership that they have?
I totally agree. I was so disappointed when I spoke to people there, because you would imagine that they would want better infrastructure, and I'm only speaking about Amethi here because that's where we traveled extensively. But and I think over the years it's strategically been done that way, that they're very happy to see the Gandhis come in, and we were there like a day before the nomination when Rahul Gandhi came down to Amethi. So they were so excited that they're going to get a glimpse of the Gandhis, and the daughter-in-law of the constituency was coming down, and that's what it is all about for them. It's still about emotions. It's still about the Gandhi family. However, because of the campaign that Smriti Irani and Kumar Vishwas are running, they are focusing on development. Even in Lucknow, the resentment against Samajwadi Party is pretty high, that they haven't really worked on any development projects. So we see the conversation changing, we see the discourse changing, but like a senior political journalist told me from Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Satish Pradhan, he told me that it's going to be another 10 years before UP votes on development over emotions and caste and class and so on and so forth. So another 10 years is what we are looking at.
Okay.
But the conversation is changing there.
A little depressing. Thanks, Shweta. I'd like to kind of quickly move on to a couple of other stories that are there in the magazine for you this time. We have a nice story on the 2 new bank licenses that have come up to the microfinance institution Bandhan and IDFC. Anand Adhikari, senior editor, traveled to Calcutta and he's based in Bombay. He put together this really nice story on what will really fold out in the years ahead with these 2 new banks coming on the horizon. I'd like also quickly to kind of focus on another story that we have on Modi. Elections on, so we're keeping the focus running on Modi and his candidature. We talk about how the outside world sees Modi as an administrator, as a business-friendly leader. And to talk to me about this, I have with me special correspondent Anlesh Mahajan. So Anlesh, tell us, how does the outside world see Narendra Modi if he were to become Prime Minister?
See, we have to divide our perspective into 2 scales. One is how West sees Modi, and second is how East sees Modi.
Good point.
So there is a sea of differences in the perspective. If we talk about West is skeptical about his credentials as a secular leader. They believe is that he might have come up as a good administrator in Gujarat, where population of Muslims and other minorities is much lesser. And India is much diverse as a country. So you have states like Punjab, J&K, then UP, where minorities are in better
bigger numbers.
Their thinking is that since development has to happen across the board, and then the rural areas need to come up. So he will have to develop a policy which is more secular in nature. So they are divided.
That's the West view. What does the East view him?
East sees him as a good administrator, and especially the Chinese players. They feel that since US has embargoes and UK applied that embargo for them, so they feel that he could be the leader who could align with them and who could be a better prospect for Chinese companies to do business. We all know that Chinese companies face a lot of problems when they want to do business in India. So they feel that if Modi is around, things would be much easier.
Interesting. So the Chinese have an edge over perhaps the Americans, etc.
Yes, Chinese as well as even Japanese. They also see Modi as their own friend.
Okay, and does the outside world see any particular sector or few sectors kind of benefiting with if Modi came to power?
Yes, they are seeing that since Modi's USP is implementing the infrastructure projects. So infrastructure is the big push. Power especially. Then they are looking at road infrastructure improving. So the corridors where Japanese and Chinese are looking at a good prospect to invest for. Then they are seeing that India would be improving their technology side of things. So they are seeing better investment positions there. Plus defense is the big thing. West is looking at India opening up its defense sector.
Of course.
So there's a debate going on whether to increase the FDI cap from 26 to 51.
Right.
So they are pushing for that. I spoke to 2 or 3 defense related companies. So they are saying that if India comes up with even 51% of FDI cap, so they'll be happy investing here because they can then develop India as a hub to export the products from here to the Southeast Asia and to the other parts.
Okay. Thanks, Anlesh. Businessmen outside India watching Narendra Modi as closely as businessmen in India. A couple of other stories very quickly to tell you, point your attention to in the magazine. We have a nice story on Bombay House, which is the headquarters of the Tata Group, which is the first heritage building in India to get the green rating. Also, an interesting story that you might want to kind of watch out for is a story on Darshan Patel, the founder of Winnie Organics, which is runs brands like Fog, etc. The man, I mean, how has he kind of created so many winning brands in so frugal a way? Overall, a set of interesting stories for you to kind of read this issue, and of course online at businesstoday.in. Keep reading Business Today. Thanks.